see if we can see this, actually. I wonder if I took pictures of it. So if we go to, like, Abu Sir and Ghorub, let's have a look at these pictures. Oh, this is cool. Like, they actually, I don't know if I'd shared this yet with anyone, but this used to be, see all these, it's like burnt. See all these clumps, like here, right in the center? These are clumps of reeds. This all used to be covered in reeds. And I couldn't get in here. I've got footage of me bush bashing through here to try and see it. As you can see. But they uncovered basically what would have been the river to see. See, this is all like these palm trees and clumps where they'd cut them and burn them out. So this all used to be, just because there's water here, this all used to be completely overgrown. You couldn't get in there to see what's in here, but seeing what's in here, and of course you can uncover this. It's at the end of the causeway, so there's the causeway and where it leads down to what would be the Valley Temple. The causeway runs up here to Abu Sir. So you see this is the Pyramid of Nusra. There's a couple of like these big palm-shaped pillars up here. There's tube drills up and down here. Like this causeway was cased in Tura limestone. It has channeled blocks that run all beneath it. But it used to run down here. It sort of started around here and would run all the way down into the dirt here. And then this was, like, you can see where they've cut these big, thick, like palm trees and all these reeds. And this was all big, just vegetation. You couldn't get in here. And so they've dug all this up and they've excavated it out and they've found all this stuff. And this is like big chunks of granite and basalt and some really interesting stuff in here, particularly around over here. Tube drills and things that have never been seen before. So I'm probably going to do a video about it, about the new sign, the new. There's Mamudo. There's a new all of the features of this area. So yeah, that's the regular sort of path into Abu Sir, and this is still being worked on. You can see these guys are working on the site. It's why it's still like special permission. There's no, you can't go to this site as a tourist. You have to. And what's interesting, you'll see this as we go up here, but you see these bricks, these new brick. There's like they've dug up on the, they've excavated on the sides of this causeway, and they found all this stuff. And there's these reliefs and these scenes that are painted on these walls. So, and they basically document them. They put a sheet of perspex over them, and then they brick them up. They literally, like, they just brick them up. So that it's like they take photos of it. Nobody knows what it shows or what it says. It stays in the academic world. Then they put like a sheet of perspex on it, and then they just make these brick walls, like you see here, over the front of these reliefs and these steles that are there. So, you know, good luck. Who knows? Maybe they'll publish a paper in 20 years that tells you what it says. So yeah, this I could compare this with footage from like 2016 when this was all reeds and whatnot. And I was looking for the channel block because this used to actually be more uncovered. The sand wasn't as high here, and you could see channel blocks in the ground here. I might even do like a side-by-side when I do this video, but I'm going to throw in a little bit of this footage just for this, the purposes of this. But this stuff here is all new. Like all of this is just brand new excavations. Very cool. See, I was standing up on it. So you see, there's actually basalt floor tiles in here, and basalt granite walls. And this is a big chunk of granite with a bullnose on it. Also has tubular drills in it. Tubular drill holes. God, this guy Chuck, this geologist that comes on a lot of these trips with us, he's hilarious, but he just always harasses me for saying, "You see the tube drill?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we don't see a tube drill. We see a tube drill.
Yeah,
hole.
I know. I'm coming down. Cool. This is all uncovered. Look at granite. Yeah. This is all basalt and granite.
There's my raw thoughts for you. It's effing cool. I like a good bullnose too. And you see these nice, it's all carved.
This is all basalt too.
And it's eroded, like it has the flaking basalt that's on it, like this heavy duty kind of surface degradation on the basalt. And this was probably covered in sand. But this was cool, like, yeah, people, it's nice. So you have a couple tube drills here.
Oh wow.
Very nice.
Oh, that's cool.
So Abu Sir, my friend, is the site that has more evidence of the lost technology than any other site so far.
So this block's been quarried. So they've cut it. They've seen these tube drills and they've gone, you know what, this is a perfect block to cut off. So they cut this Who knows what was to the right of it, but they they split a chunk off of the granite here. The quarriers did. Was that it?
The walls here, technology.
Yeah. These are the photos. So it's really clear too. Like this is pretty pristine. Like people haven't looked at this or messed with it too much. You can see the width of the tool. It's quite thin. You can see where the core of the tubular drill hole was snapped off. You can kind of see some of the. This looks optically different. I'm sure this hole's a straight. It's just, I guess, perspective. Yeah, so this is a straight hole, but the core itself will probably be a little tapered. So yeah, you can see it's inset. As a lot of them are inset, you see this insetting here and inset to here. So the hole actually starts here. And if you look close, you can see that those typical kind of deep grooves, all the same as the other tube drills and the cores, where you have that, what's probably a spiral groove on it. And then other fragments that also have these. This is very similar to what you find at Elephantine Island, which is, not really typically Old Kingdom, although there's certainly Old Kingdom stuff there. And, it has these bull noses on the granite, very similar to the big box at Elephantine Island. Also, the curved shapes of like the cornices. And, a lot of these sort of things get associated with later periods. But you're finding this on like a 4th and 5th dynasty site with these bull noses. So it really throws into question a lot of the stylistic dating, I think, of a lot of these sites. Like, this is very much like the cornice blocks that you see on the Valley Temple, the Sphinx Temple, 4th dynasty structures. And then you also have bull noses that are typically associated with, New Kingdom structures and artifacts. Also granite and really well made, but because they're on old sites with New Kingdom inscriptions, they go, oh, this is all made in the New Kingdom. I think it's nonsense. Like, this is obviously the same thing going on. This was quarried for sure. You can actually kind of see some of the wedge marks that were probably cut into this to split this. Definitely quarried, recycled, and it looks like there might have been some other shape carved into it here. I think this is probably this might have been a large, like the top of a head jet or something. So, I don't know, it's kind of weird. So yeah, this has definitely got some carvings on it, like the granite stuff carved into it. Not as well done as the rest of it, naturally. And then yeah, so the typical sort of is the same as the rest of ABC. We have these big basalt blocks that form some sort of courtyard or chamber. And we don't know what was on top of this. It might have been fully enclosed, could have had multiple levels. Even the causeway was cased, probably had a roof at some point. All that stone gets taken. And you can see the level of the dirt was way up here. Because this depression wasn't here. This is all excavated. The joinery. Just erosion. Column bases. So this is actually looks like an alabaster or white calcite column base. So there was probably columns here. Actually, that might be granite. Yeah, that's granite. That's a granite column base. Yes, all of this is brand new excavation. Same thing at Abu Ghorub. They did the same thing over there, and I got over there and had a good look at that as well. And so yeah, this is, carved. More granite with bull noses. This is that tubular drill block.
Only scans action.
Only scans.
This is an error. That's what happens because it's an error. The other possibility is that.
So this is composite quartzite, it looks like. You can see the lumps of crystal and flint, little bits of flint in it. So we also had composite quartzite structures or artifacts sitting. This is quartzite block, like a fragment of it sitting on top of some basalt. I mean, none of it native to this particular area. This is all limestone. All these fragments of basalt. And so stuff was here. This is all quarry fragments. Big chunk of granite over here. That composite quartzite piece here. Well, it's compressed sandstone, basically. Very hard, like granite. So, yeah, now we're walking up. And this is what I was talking about. You see these bricks? This is literally, like I said, they found these steles and carvings. And they would just, in some places, you could see the edge of the perspex. They would stick a sheet of perspex on it, and then they just brick it up and cement it over on top. Forever hidden from view. Kind of annoying. Like, if I showed this to Jimmy, lose his shit. And then this is typical of Abu Ghorub or Abu Sir as well. You have this, and you see this on a lot of causeways. So this is the original level. You see the floor levels here, right? This is probably original wall. This is the original floor. These are the floor blocks. So the floor was up higher, but you have this channeled block that runs all the way down the causeway. It's like it runs all the way beneath the causeway. And I think the same thing was at Giza, because you see channeled blocks on either end of it. But here at Abu Sir, you actually see the channeled blocks in the infrastructure in the stone that's beneath what was the original floor level of the causeway. And this probably had walls and a roof originally, and it runs all the way into here. And then of course you've just got this maze of channeled blocks that run beneath the floor, all over this site, and it's a massive mystery. Like, who knows what was actually here, what it was for. And this is we were fascinated. We were taking a close look at some of the basalt pieces that have. It's like, I think this is like. I don't think this is damage that's occurred since it's been cut. I think it was cut like this. I think this is like, you have an original flow of basalt that cracks, and this is millions of years ago when the basalt's laid down in the area that the quarry is, the basalt hills out in the desert, and these cracks form, and then subsequent flows of basalt seem to come into it. And then they form these rocks. Like, this isn't loose peats. Like, it's like it's melded in and it's part of it. Although there are gaps that have formed over time. Like, it might have all looked like this bit here originally, and then these little bits have broken out in here. But most of these pieces aren't just loose. They're, they've like formed to the rest of the stone. But it's just like an interesting formation in the basalt, and I just think it's probably the result of subsequent flows when the basalt outcrop was forming, and then it was cut, and because it's all part of that one block, it's just cut through evenly, and they lay it down. They're like, they don't really care about the imperfections in it. They just use it as it is, but then they kind of line it up. It's almost like they lined it up, and you see this, these are different blocks that are put together, and you see this in the Sphinx Temple, like with the erosion. Very interesting. If you look at the blocks that they've cut from the bedrock, and you sort of take a close look at the way they've laid them out, you just think, well, the blocks of limestone. Who cares where they go or what orientation they are? But almost all of it, they would take blocks from the bedrock, because in the limestone you have different sedimentary layers in the limestone, and you can see they wear differently over time. So you have these layers, these like lines of erosion that happen to the blocks. But they would take blocks that were, and they would match those sedimentary layers up in the block. So they would take these blocks and make sure that the block next to it had the same sedimentary layers in it. And then, so subsequent erosion, it's like this line that runs across all the blocks. It's like that it's not like they were just like, oh, I'm going to cut a block that's this size from anywhere because it's limestone. No, they were lining up sedimentary layers in the blocks themselves and then stacking those blocks up and making sure that shit matched. It's a whole other degree of difficulty. Any further investigation in the sand accepting holes on the causeway that Yusuf showed me? No. Still there. Still accepting sand. So you see a lot more of this sort of subsequent flow stuff in the basalt. We were kind of talking a lot about it and looking at it and going, man, this is really interesting. And trying to determine, is this erosion that happened, after, or we kind of came to the conclusion this is probably part of what it looked like originally. Like this. These aren't loose pieces. This is all one block, but you've got sand that's filled in. There's some gaps that have opened up. And like a pivot hole that's cut into the basalt. Something's shoved in here. So this is now this is just in Abu Sir now. Tube drills. It's a nice little image, isn't it? See those nice, like, distinct grooves? Like, wouldn't it be perfect? You clean this out, and then you latex mold it. Like, why can't the Egyptians, why can't they do this? Like, I swear one of these days, I might just bring a can of latex out there. I should just do that, right? We'll go out there and latex up a couple of these holes. And, I mean, I have scans, but I think you could latex up some of these holes and show it. I just don't want to get. Honestly, if you got caught doing that, it would be a problem. Like, I don't think we'd have an issue, but this is even on these sites they are active. They're digging in other areas. They don't really care about this core area where a lot of these holes are, and I think you could find some that were, you know, you could leave it. I don't know how long latex takes to dry, where you could like, you know, yeet the mold out of there eventually, but. Is the hole size similar to the hole of the rounded moldings found on blocks? Is the hole size similar to the size of the rounded moldings found on blocks with the same size to it? So the tubular drill holes vary in sizes from small to large. Again, watch my latest video. I get into the tube drills in some depth. They go anywhere from like a ½ inch up to 9-10 inches, and in some cases I think there's evidence for holes that exceed 20 inches in diameter. But they're quite small. Some of them, they start at like a ½ inch. The common-sized holes, I'd say, are probably in the 4-inch range. Like a lot of these ones, like this here, they're around 4.5 inches, something like that. Like this. Now you just see this nice, regular, clean grooves. And again, this isn't from grinding. It's so stupid that people think this is from grinding. You'd have so many more lines. They'd be so much finer. It's just, grinding looks completely different to what we see here. I don't understand how people make that argument. It's just willful ignorance of the details. So yeah, this is over at Abu Ghorub, where they've done a similar thing. This is the big crystal hotep, the alabaster white calcite crystal hotep that's in front of the obelisk base. Yeah, some of them are definitely door hinges, no doubt. So this is Abu Ghorub, where they've done the same thing. So they've dug up the end of the causeway, and this is all new. This was all covered in sand before, like a year before this. So they've been excavating. I got over on the second trip here. I mean, the second week, I guess, or the fourth week, or whatever it was. We got over there, and I just took some photos of it from a distance on this occasion. This is all like freshly excavated sections of probably, I'm guessing, a causeway. And this is not a pyramid site either. Like, it's Abu Ghorub's a sun temple. What happens? So when you walk in Abu Sir, in the courtyard, in front of the obelisk base, there was an archaeologist at work, and they had cleared the entire ground, and they'd excavated it all down to where there's these little rows of mud bricks, you know, where there were probably later additions of mud bricks, and they'd built structures there, and people would live there or whatever. And he had clearly been documenting it. Like, they'd been carefully. There's a grid thing up there, and he was up there with his helper. Like, he had a big photo, like a camera up on a thing, and he's walking around with a remote thing, just taking pictures and documenting it all. And of course, we're there for 6 weeks. So 4 weeks later, we come back to the same spot, and it's all just buried again. Like, it's literally buried again. They just buried it all again. It's all under the sand again. And that's what I'm saying. Where's that data? How long till anyone can get their hands on that data? Is it going to be 20 years? It's data that where they're documenting the site, and they've been doing that all around Abu Ghorub. Like, they've really cleared it right down to the bedrock, and then they rebury it. They document it and they rebury it. It's gone. And I've tried to find references to the work or who's doing it. I can't find anything on it. So it just keeps, this sort of stuff happens all the time, and it's been happening for decades. And it's a really frustrating element of trying to research this stuff. You know, you kind of have to be in either an academia or even just individual institutions, even on a particular project, to get access to that data or to even know it's happening. I mean, and maybe they publish, maybe they don't. So, and yeah, there's a lot of for-profit archaeology that happens now. These guys that get permissions to, then they make a documentary or they try to sell the data, and it never happens. Like the guys that were, this was what Doug, History for Granite, was talking about. It's like, you know, they talked about trying to sell data, LiDAR stuff, and then the company went bust, and it just sitting on a server somewhere, and it'll never be seen again. You can't get your hands on it. So it is kind of irritating, I think is the word. But it's not just the Egyptians that do this. I mean, it's a lot of foreign institutions that are studying and excavating on these places, and they're not doing anything with it either. But the Egyptians definitely, they're tightly controlling the access to all this stuff. Same thing with Turkey. I mean, it's literally a common occurrence across archaeology. It doesn't matter about Egypt. It's everywhere. Like, there is research that happens that, you know, is potentially shining light on a broader picture of the human past, and just never, it sometimes never sees the light of day. And I don't know how you solve that other than allowing more access for more in-depth research by, you know, citizen scientists, as George likes to call us, pajama scientists, and, you know, people that are actually not in the academic world but are willing to share data like we're doing with the base scan stuff. Turn this down because it's terrible. Yeah, so then I'm bush bashing in here, so this is what it used to look like. So there's the same thing we were looking at. So this is the difference. And this would be a fun video to do, like show you what they've changed. So, you know, we were standing over here before, like pretty much at the end of the causeway. Same area, and they've actually excavated all of this. Look at this. So this is what it looked like before they got in here and cleared it all out. So yeah, that's the top of the back up just a hair. So yeah, this is the top of what was the obelisk base. So it looks like a pyramid, but it was actually a base for an obelisk at this Sun Temple site, and then the causeway must have run through here, and this is sand on top of it. But so these guys actually dug out the quartzite bowl that's at the outlet of one of these channel block sets of infrastructure, and this was always filled with sand, and these guys spent a bunch of time digging it out, and they cleared it out. It was great. I've never seen it emptied, and it took them 20 minutes, but they emptied it out. Just scooping the sand out, and then scooping like the sand away from the edge, trying to dig out the sides of it. It's actually a big block. Look at this, a huge big. It's kind of like those quartzite, those bowls over at the other side, like, you know, at Abu Ghorub. Like, this is made from quartzite though. They have all those cogs, like the holes in them and stuff. This one's just doesn't have a hole. But it's really cool. I love it when enthusiastic people get on these sites and they do stuff like this, and they don't get like harassed for doing it. Sol's really trying. Stay away from Copperhead Road. I hope you all enjoyed that video. I'm trying to make these things a bit more of a regular upload to my second channel here, the UnchartedX live channel. So please do consider subscribing to this channel. That really helps me out. Big thanks to Dub Selector for taking the time to edit these videos. Very much appreciate his help on this. Also, if you want to catch me live over on Twitch, I am streaming 2-3 times a week. I generally announce when I'm going to stream in my Discord, so if you want to join the Discord, take a look below in the comments. There'll be a link to the Discord. And if you like the work that I'm doing, please do consider supporting the channel through the value for value model. There's lots of ways that you can support the work that I'm doing. It's all outlined on my website. It's unchartedx.com/support. We'll catch you in the next one.